Are you awake right now? Like, seriously, how do you know? This voice might be coming from within your dream, so am I really talking to you? Do you see that figure standing in the hallway? Please wake. Hello everyone and welcome to the Sleep and Dream Iceberg. Dreaming has always been a very interesting concept to me, as it is basically your brain replicating whatever images it wants to replicate. Or so we believe. There's a lot of science on dreams left in the dark, especially the science behind lucid dreaming. Today we're going to explore all that crazy stuff and more, from sleep paralysis to MK Ultra to nightmares. And speaking of nightmares, I recently had a nightmare where I was using the internet with an unprotected connection and I left my IP address exposed. An easy way to fix this is by using a VPN. That's why I'm very glad to introduce you to today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. They're running a huge discount where you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.39 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And on top of this, Atlas VPN is also running the Black Friday deal where you get the first 3 months free. Link to this deal is in the description. When I want to watch shows or movies on Netflix from another country, I can change my IP address to, for instance, France, and boom, now I can watch awesome horror movies like Bone Tomahawk. Atlas VPN also provides a lightning fast speed, so you won't have any issues browsing the web and using streaming services. Besides being a great way for watching more content on streaming services, Atlas VPN stops ads and malware from bugging you. It can block malicious links and will notify you when someone wants to steal your data. They will also give the best deals while shopping online. And on top of all of this, Atlas VPN will protect unlimited devices, so you won't have to pay twice if you want to use the VPN on your PC and the app on your phone. Click my link in the description and get Atlas VPN Black Friday deal with 86% off and 3 extra months for free. Thank you for the kind folks over at Atlas VPN for sponsoring, and let's get back to the video. Alright, so one more thing, you might have seen this, but I have a Discord channel now, so be sure to join if you're interested. We're gonna talk about a lot of interesting stuff there and more, so click on the link in the description if you want to join. And let's have some fun conversations in there. Alright, let's start with the first layer. Casual dreaming. This entry refers to the most normal part of sleeping, which is dreaming. Humans on average sleep about 8 hours. You don't remember that much of your dreams because you actually forget more than 95%. NREM sleep. NREM, also known as non-rapid eye movement, is one of the 2 sleep stages that your body experiences. People usually don't have dreams during the NREM stage and tend to sleep very deeply. Sleepwalking. Although not the most common, probably the most well-known form of sleeping disorders is sleepwalking. Sleepwalking is actually more common with children than adults. Melatonin supplements. In order to sleep, our body produces melatonin, a hormone that helps control your sleep cycle. Melatonin is usually produced after it gets dark. Melatonin supplements can be taken if someone suffers from sleep problems. Inception movie. One of Christopher Nolan's most well-known movies has to be Inception. I'm gonna be honest, Inception is not an easy movie to follow, but it's not surprising because it's directed by Christopher Nolan. Inception tells a story about a man who steals corporate secrets through the use of dream-sharing technology that is given the task to plant an idea in the mind of a CEO. Regular wake cycle. The human body follows a pattern which we know as a circadian rhythm. This is usually our 24-hour clock divided between 16 hours of being awake and 8 hours of sleeping. This is why having a constant sleep cycle is very healthy. REM sleep. This is the opposite of NREM sleep and it's characterized by rapid eye movement. You will experience more dreams in this stage. Lucid dreaming. A lucid dream is a dream in which the person dreaming is aware of the dream happening. There's a very big community of people that try to do this and it's honestly very interesting. I know absolutely nothing about lucid dreaming, nor have I ever done it. What I do know is that people can experience almost everything they want, which sounds pretty interesting. If you watched my last video, I also talked about how people entered the fictional altered reality of the backrooms by lucid dreaming, so the possibilities are practically endless. Nightmares. Everyone experiences occasional nightmares, but there's nothing to worry about. A very common nightmare that I used to experience is one that wakes you up at the end. My nightmares either contain a high place that I fall from, me drowning, or me being jump scared by some demonic creature. As with most nightmares, the dream ends right at this point. Nightmares can have many different meanings speaking from a spiritual standpoint. For instance, if you dream about being lost, this can mean that there is a conflict that you need to address. Sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation is a state of mind and body in which a person is unable or has a serious lack of sleep. This is very unhealthy for you as sleep deprivation causes slow thinking, worsened memory, and a lack of energy. Sleep deprivation can also cause permanent brain damage. As you might know, there have been a lot of experiments on sleep deprivation in history, especially in the 20th century. Many attempts of creating an army that didn't need sleep failed. This is also what the famous Russian sleep experiment creepypasta is based on. World record attempts happen too, as the longest time anyone has ever gone without sleep is 264.4 hours, or roughly 11 days. Jet lag. Jet lag is known as another common sleep disorder caused when you travel quickly across multiple time zones. Traveling between time zones can confuse your circadian rhythm, which might cause sleep problems. Afterlife dreams. One unusual occurrence with dreams is experiencing the afterlife. Whether you believe in the afterlife or not doesn't matter here, as many people have dreams about life after death. Some people might dream about going to heaven or entering another world. Narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a sleep disorder that affects the brain ability to control the sleep-wake cycle. If you have narcolepsy, you might feel rested after waking, but then feel very sleepy throughout the rest of the day. Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea causes a person to repeatedly stop and start breathing while sleeping. Sleep apnea is common with people who snore loudly. Falling in void dreams. A very interesting type of dream is one in which a dreamer falls into some kind of void and then wakes up. The spiritual meaning behind this type of dream is that you are experiencing fears and insecurities in your life. Dreams like this are so interesting to me because when you experience them, you really feel like you're falling right before you're waking up. The weird thing is that I usually don't resent the falling and instead just let it happen to me. Irregular wake cycle. This refers to a rare type of circadian rhythm sleep disorder. An irregular wake cycle means that instead of having a main nighttime sleep, a person takes numerous naps throughout the 24-hour day period. IWC is a very serious and potentially dangerous disorder. There are some people that do this and it's called a polyphasic sleep. It is however very unhealthy for most people. Static dreams. A static dream is an unusual type of dream that you can encounter. In some cases you will only hear some kind of TV static, and in others you might have a normal dream that is interrupted by static in both a visual and auditory way. Not much about this phenomenon is known, but it seems to happen to many people, myself included. The cause of static dreams might be sleeping with a background noise, as your brain will still register certain noises while you're sleeping. Insomnia. This is a disorder that makes it hard to fall asleep. Insomnia is more common now because of people being on their phone before sleeping. Shift work disorder. This is a condition that affects people who work either night or early morning shifts. Working a shift during your circadian rhythm is usually the cause of this. Taking drugs in a dream. Some people have experienced taking drugs in their dream, both consciously and unconsciously. Drug-related dreams can be an indicator for having feelings of stress or anxiety. Lucid dreamers also have claimed to have taken drugs while in their dreams and then feeling the effects of it. Recurring dreams. I think that this is something we can all relate to. Dreams that you have more than once. When it comes to my experience, I usually have this with certain nightmares. You might experience the same dream twice or have a dream with a similar theme. This unfortunately only seems to happen when you don't want it to. Parasomnias. Parasomnias is a term to describe disruptive sleep-related disorders such as sleep talking, sleepwalking, nightmares, and night terrors. Prophetic dreams. A prophetic dream is a type of dream in which a person is said to perceive information about certain places and events before they actually happen. We see this kind of stuff throughout all of history, especially with big dramatic events such as 9/11, the sinking of the Titanic, and the Holocaust. There's actually a subreddit for this called r/precognition. It has a lot of users talking about their experiences with prophetic dreams. Dreams about Minecraft. It is not uncommon to dream about a video game, especially Minecraft. If you play Minecraft a lot, you might experience dreams about the game. This is similar to a very real phenomenon called Tetris effect. Tetris effect occurs when people devote so much time into an activity that it will pattern their thoughts, images, and dreams. This term comes from the game Tetris, as people who play Tetris all day experience dreams and visual hallucinations of the game. Somniphobia. Somniphobia is known as the fear of sleeping. People that suffer from somniphobia usually have extreme anxiety when trying to fall asleep. Freddy Krueger dreams. You might know Freddy Krueger from the original Nightmare on Elm Street that was released in 1984. The movie was about a serial killer who tries to attack and murder people within their dreams. The entry actually refers to the fact that some might experience encountering Freddy Krueger in their own dream. This occurrence is surprisingly more common than you might think. Here's what a Redditor experienced. The Nightmare on Elm Street series has been a favorite of mine since I was a child, and Freddy remains one of my favorite horror characters of all time. I tend to have very vivid dreams, most of them being quite terrifying nightmares. A few years ago I had a dream that I was in some sort of empty boarding school or institution. It was a large, decrepit building, and the room I was in for the majority of the dream had 2 rows of creepy metal bed frames facing each other. This is where I met Freddy Krueger. It was just like the movies. I tried to run, there was a struggle, but ultimately I ended up getting away and I was somehow able to wake up. Mirror dreams. Some dreams might contain you looking into a mirror. This can have different meanings as you won't always see your own reflection. If you see someone else in the mirror, this might mean that you don't recognize yourself at the moment. You can also look into a mirror and see no reflection at all or see a strange image. People have also described them looking into a mirror and after a little while their vision began to change. With some their vision got blurry and others began to see a very distorted version of themselves. It is well known that taking almost any drug can enhance or distort your dreaming experience, both for the better or for the worse. A common occurrence when people use laughing gas is them having extremely vivid dreams. This means that sometimes even inexperienced lucid dreamers can have very lucid dreams. Out-of-body experiences. An out-of-body experience, or OBA, is a phenomenon in which a person perceives the world or themselves from outside their own body. During or near someone's sleep, a spontaneous OBA can happen. In most of these cases, people describe it as themselves still feeling and being awake, a comparable feeling to that of sleep paralysis. MIT technology. This entry refers to the fact that MIT scientists have found a way to manipulate dreams. They were able to insert certain topics into a person's dream with the use of an app. This research was performed by taking advantage of an early sleep stage in order to achieve a similar result to that of lucid dreaming. The subjects' their heart rate was monitored, as well as electrical changes and things like how many of their fingers were bent or relaxed. The subjects had to use an app that delivered audio at the correct time and were told to think of a tree. 67% of the subjects' reports incorporated the image of a tree. This might not seem that impressive for this day and time, but I believe the manipulation of dreams through technology is the future. Sleep paralysis. Many of you might know this is a quite disturbing and anxiety-inducing phenomenon. Sleep paralysis is caused by a lack of sleep or sleep deprivation. It will let individuals experience vivid and troubling hallucinations while being awake. You are usually unable to move during an episode, making it that much more confronting. People that experience sleep paralysis often tell us that the most common position for an episode is when you're sleeping on your back. Some might have a weird feeling or an out-of-body experience. Others might see a scary figure standing in the corner or looking over them. Either way, it can be quite terrifying. Alien abduction dreams. A lot of things surrounding aliens and alien abductions go unexplained. One extraterrestrial encounter is that of an alien abduction, something that seems to happen more often than you might think. People have been trying to explain phenomena like this by saying it was either part of a dream or it was created in the victim's mind by lucid dreaming. There was a study conducted in Russia, and no, not this one. This study had 152 volunteers that were asked to emulate an alien encounter or abduction by lucid dreaming. 114 of the volunteers were able to experience one of the two after one or more attempts. Nightmare Purgatory. Nightmare Purgatory refers to a state of mind that you can find within yourself. Nightmares happen based on fear, and therefore these fears must be stored somewhere in your brains. Some people have described lucid dreaming and then entering a weird place where they are exposed to many fears they have. This can be seen as a nightmare purgatory. Déjà vu in dreams. You might know that the term déjà vu means a feeling of having already experienced the present situation. Its opposite is known as a déjà rêve, which is a memory or a feeling that you experience within a dream. This means that you might have already felt you had this dream before, but it's only this vague and unnerving feeling. Déjà rêve might tie in with precognitive dreams, as they both sense a feeling of familiarity. Sandman. The Sandman is a mythical character that stems from Scandinavian folklore. He sprinkles sand or dust into the eyes of children to bring them to sleep. This isn't the only version of Sandman, as there is a more demonic one. Here is its description. Its skin is that of a dead person's, decayed and discolored. It has very long fingers and many sharp teeth. It hides just out of sight in the dark and whispers tick-tock, tick-tock to its unlucky victim. This strange chant quickly puts the victim into a deep sleep. There is a truly haunting comment on this page. It reads the following. Recently, I woke up in the middle of the night with a terrible nightmare. It started with a grandfather clock swinging back and forth, making the horrid tick-tock, tick-tock noise. Then the face of the clock changed into the face of a creepy dead man. He had no eyes, just sockets and an extremely pale skin. He cackled as the tick-tocks became louder and louder. Then I woke up. It was 3:13 AM and my window was open. I knew I hadn't left it that way because snow had battered the ground already. I thought it was just a dream and went back to sleep. This time I didn't see anything. The only thing that happened was I heard the tick-tock noise. I woke up the next morning and found my finger dying in pain. Someone had bit it so hard it bled. I bandaged it up and went on with my day. I researched what could have happened and it led me to this. False awakening. This ties in with lucid dreaming. People will experience this phenomenon where they feel like they've just woken up, but not really. They will begin to notice that something is very off. One person describes seeing a dark figure continuously walking past the doorway before really waking up. LSD Dream Journal. The LSD Dream Journal, or Lovely Sweet Dream, is a book written by the Japanese writer named Hiroko Nishiwaka. The journal contains vivid descriptions and drawings of his dreams. Some dreams are very interesting and others are downright scary. Here's a depiction of his dream on Thursday, July 28, 1994. Boiling arms. Two men are carrying, as souvenirs, human arms that they have just torn from some bodies. One of the arms is bent at the elbow. The family decides to go somewhere with their food. The kids, who were sitting next to me, remain behind, eating their meal from the top of a pushcart. The arm has been stewed and looks very tasty. It's delicious because the meat is fresh. Coma sleep. Coma sleep is very interesting because you essentially just feel like you're in a really long nap. You won't realize that you're missing anything and you might experience very vivid dreams. People have described being in a coma for a month but feeling like they've only slept for a day after waking up. Dreams about pyramids and ancient debris. This seems to come up quite often and it has an interesting meaning behind it. Dreaming of pyramids or ancient structures can be symbolic for an archaeological digging of the deeper layers of the psyche. In other words, it would mean that the pyramids you're dreaming of represents your internal architecture. Whether you can explore this architecture might be up to you. Melatonin dreams. As we've already covered, the intake of melatonin might cause an increase in REM sleep. People have described having very vivid and bizarre dreams after taking melatonin. Technology almost never works in dreams. This almost seems to be a universal truth as many people have this in common. This refers to the phenomenon of people not being able to use any kind of technology inside of their dream, such as computers not working or clocks not showing any time at all. A very solid theory for this might be that dreams are emotional and subjective constructs rather than highly logical ones like computers. Your mind might be great for creating characters and emotions, but things containing many numbers turns out to be way harder. What is also true for most people is that they can't read anything or look into mirrors, for instance. Text will usually look gibberish and mirrors look blurry most of the time. Exploding head syndrome. This is known as a sleep syndrome that pretty much feels like an explosion of brain signals when falling asleep or waking up. People will hear a high pitch and static, as this syndrome is entirely auditory. Hypnopompic hallucinations. A hypnopompic hallucination is a hallucination that occurs in the morning as you're waking up. The feeling is similar to that of sleep paralysis, as the victim might experience threat, feelings of suffocation, and sensations of floating. There definitely seems to be some resemblance between people and their experiences, as many of them are described with spiders in them or other frightening creatures. Devil's Trill Sonata. This refers to a piece of classical music composed by Giuseppe Tartini in 1799. The Devil's Trill Sonata is a solo violin composition that lasts for 50 minutes. According to Tartini, the devil gave him the idea for this composition. Here's the story. One night in the year 1713, I dreamed I had made a pact with the devil for my soul. Everything went as I wished. My new servant anticipated my every desire. Among other things, I gave him my violin to see if he could play. How great was my astonishment on hearing a sonata so wonderful and so beautiful, played with such great art and intelligence, as I had never even conceived in my boldest flights of fantasy. I felt enraptured, transported, enchanted. My breath filled me, and I awoke. I immediately grasped my violin in order to retain, in part at least, the impression of my dream. The music which at this time composed is indeed the best that I ever wrote, and I still call it the Devil's Trill, but the difference between it and which so moved me is so great that I would have destroyed my instrument and have said farewell to music forever if it had been possible for me to live without the enjoyment it affords me. Dream remote viewing. Remote viewing is usually regarded as a pseudoscience, as it's the skill of sensing an impression of an unseen target by only using the mind. Remote viewing can get as crazy as you want, with some people even saying that they can remote view alien structures on the moon. One way to experience a remote viewing might be by dreaming about it. Paroxetine. Paroxetine is an antidepressant that suppresses REM sleep. Paroxetine has been described to cause very vivid and lucid dreams. This can be a problem for some people, as dreams on antidepressants can be in fact so vivid that you cannot really separate them from your real life. DPH dreams. Alright, so DPH is a type of medication that blocks the action of histamine, a substance in the body that causes allergic symptoms. This again causes people to have wild, vivid dreams. DPH could also stand for daytime parahypnagogia. This refers to a state of consciousness that occurs when we almost fall asleep. It is very comparable to a daydream, but it's not self-directed. A DPH can consist out of a flash image or maybe a creative insight that is quickly forgotten. The feeling of a DPH is very weird, as people have described it as entering a very deep sleep for only a few seconds. MKUltra Dream Experiments. As you might already know, MKUltra was a CIA-funded project that focused on hypnosis, mind control, and brainwashing. MKUltra was approved in 1953 and it was very unethical, as it used patients who never agreed on participating in the MKUltra project. The patients would literally include people that could not fight back, administering mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and prostitutes. Most of the experiments required the patients to be under the influence of LSD. A sleep-related experiment had the patient hooked up to a barbiturate IV in one arm and an amphetamine IV in the other. A barbiturate is known as a sedative hypnotic, meaning it's sleep-inducing and anxiety-decreasing. Amphetamine stimulates the central nervous system and is commonly used to treat disorders like ADHD. The subjects were given the barbiturates first, and when they began to fall asleep, they were given the amphetamines. Subjects in this experiment were talking incoherently in their sleep, and it was even possible to ask them questions and get useful answers. There is so much more info out there, but I think you know why it's so hard to get into that. Stilton cheese. Stilton cheese is known to make people sleep better, but also give them bizarre or surreal dreams. A Reddit user experienced this. Can confirm for strangeness. Went to sleep after eating a fairly large amount of Stilton cheese, and at some point during the drifting off stage, I felt my body become paralyzed. My next experience after that was being awake in my bed, feeling slightly groggy, so I forced myself to get out of bed to turn the lights back on. When I go to flip the switch, I have the sensation of pulling a string, like a ceiling fan light. Upon pulling, the lights remain off, instead a low bass noise occurs, just a constant hum, and a large red eyeball appears in the corner of my room. Needless to say, I thought I was awake, so I ran for the door. I looked back at the eye before I left my room and noticed that I was laying in bed still. It took all my effort to turn the doorknob. Felt like I was doing everything underwater. I made it across the house before I woke up in a different dream. Weirdest night I've ever had in a long time. The strangest thing for me was how utterly convinced I was that I was awake. Fever dreams. This type of dream is usually caused by a rising body temperature. What basically happens is that when you're sleeping, the external temperature gets a bit too high and your body will try to wake you up. Instead of waking up, you will experience very vivid dreams and hallucinations. The Grey Man. The Grey Man might be able to enter your dreams. He wears a rain hat and a big trench coat and appears in full grey. I have talked about him before, but under a different name, Hatman. Hatman and the Grey Man are presumably the same entity. The idea of the Grey Man might not be harmful until it exists. It would be similar to the pink elephant phenomenon, where if someone tells you to not think about a pink elephant, you will think about one. If the Grey Man is present in your subconscious, he is probably present in your dreams. The Grey Man is very often encountered in sleep paralysis cases, where he is looking over you. His presence can be very unsettling, but some people have described it as calming. Shadow people. Shadow people are mysterious and possibly paranormal creatures that appear in real life or in your dream. You can see them in the corner of your eye. The Grey Man is actually the most commonly seen shadow person. The way I see shadow people is an entity that exists outside of our quote-unquote normal realm. We can see them, but not really. They do, however, manifest in our dreams. We have already talked about Randy Gardner, as he is the man who stayed awake for the longest time ever, 11 days and 25 minutes to be exact. What is interesting about this experiment is that it supposedly had little effect beside mood changes and tiredness. Gardner did suffer from short-term memory, concentration problems, paranoia and hallucinations. He was asked to subtract 7 repeatedly from 100 on the 11th day and got no further than 65. Gardner reported that he suffered from serious insomnia decades after this experiment. Randy Gardner wanted to prove that staying awake for days on end wouldn't be a real problem, but I think the insomnia makes this a horrible experiment to conduct. Our bodies need to sleep to operate. Randy Gardner might have broken the world record, but you've probably never heard of Paul Kern, who was an extreme insomniac, as he stayed awake for more than 40 years. Paul Kern got shot in the head in World War I and survived this without any ill effects, besides the fact that he was missing a part of his brain. Because of this missing part, he never felt tired and didn't even need sleep. Kern kept himself occupied by reading and taking long walks, and tried to close his eyes for at least 1 hour every 24 hours, as his doctor recommended this to him. Paul Kern is a truly unique case, as this has never happened before. Peripheral vision hallucinations, also known as the Charles Bonnet syndrome. This entry refers to seeing simple hallucinations that are caused by a deteriorating vision. There's unfortunately no cure for this syndrome at this moment, and many experiments and research is yet to be carried out. The syndrome might be caused by something going wrong during REM sleep. Fatal insomnia. Fatal insomnia is a type of insomnia caused by an extremely rare genetic disorder that gets worse and worse over time. Fatal insomnia is unfortunately always fatal. Fatal insomnia causes the patient to not be able to prepare their body for a night's sleep. While the blood pressure usually drops before sleeping, someone with this disorder has an abnormally high blood pressure when trying to sleep. Patients can never enter deep sleep, as the closest they can get to sleep is a mindless stupor, described as not quite asleep, but not quite aware. Many things have been tried, but it turns out that even general anesthetic doesn't work on people with this disorder. While getting anesthesia, their brains remained completely active, so they weren't getting any actual rest. Nightmare death. Dying in your nightmare is unfortunately a very real thing, besides fictional things like Freddy Krueger entering your dreams. What happens during a nightmare death is that the body is unable to regulate the heartbeat, which causes deadly spasms from the heart, which will cause a cardiac arrest. Theories suggest that this is in fact caused by nightmares, but it hasn't been confirmed. Incubus demon. An incubus demon, or its female counterpart the succubus, is a demon that engages in sexual activity while the person is sleeping. They are part of many traditional societies and are said to cause either death or an impaired mental state. Klein-11 syndrome. Klein-11 syndrome or KLS is known as sleeping beauty syndrome, which causes people to sleep for weeks or months at a time. Less than 1,000 people have been diagnosed with this disease and there is no known cure. There's a huge AMA thread from a 31-year-old male with this syndrome. He says he experiences episodes that last months where he sleeps 16 to 20 plus hours a day. He is very confused during his wake hours and he's only able to do some very basic things. Pattern recognition suppression in dreams. Pattern recognition suppression is the mental inability to process and interpret visual information. An awesome example is this photo, and you're probably familiar with the concept. It is one of these kind of photos where you see a lot of weird and unusual objects, but you cannot name any of them because they don't exist. This is pretty much what this experience is like. This phenomenon might be more common than you think. If you look at the picture quickly, it might seem normal, but a closer inspection, it is not. If you realize this while dreaming, you might be able to make your dream lucid. Our brain isn't able to perfectly recreate daily life objects, so objects and things in your dream might look like this picture. Most people haven't realized this because dreams tend to be very vague on their own. Nicotine patches dreams. Nicotine patches are what some describe as a good way to quit smoking, as it has helped many people. However, one thing you're advised not to do while wearing a nicotine patch is sleeping. People who do this tend to have crazy dreams, and when I say crazy, I really mean crazy. Astral travel dreams. Astral travel is the practice of an out-of-body experience in which you can travel separate from the physical body throughout the universe. Astral travel in dreams would almost be a greater form of lucid dreaming, as you'd be able to transcend your body. Chief Bromden hallucinations. Chief Bromden is a fictional character and a narrator in the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Bromden suffers from schizophrenia. He is stationed in a psych ward and often has hallucinations that are dominated by a thick, debilitating fog. Hallucinations and dreams like this happen in real life too, as a dense fog can mean someone will try to sabotage you. Childhood memory dreams. In my experience, childhood dreams tend to be fun but also comforting. They can, however, mean that you feel helpless in the present, meaning you wish to go back to better, easier times. The human memory tends to be very bad and in most cases worse than we think ourselves. Some childhood memories might have been dreams, but might as well be real. Jacob's Ladder True Story. This entry refers to the fact that the idea for Jacob's Ladder was inspired by a dream Bruce Rubin had, which was about him being trapped in a subway. Jacob's Ladder is a horror movie about a man who tries to deal with his past as a Vietnam War veteran with a severe case of dissociation. Jacob awakens in a subway, so Bruce Rubin pretty much recreated his dream. Trapped in a dream. You can supposedly get trapped inside your own dreams, and it's not fun. When people lucid dream, the usual way of waking up or getting out of the dream is by opening your eyes. A Reddit user describes trying to do this, but it then not working. People still tend to get out of these dreams by using another technique. What is scary about being trapped in a dream is that you can experience multiple fake awakenings, meaning you don't know whether you're dreaming or not. I'd say that these types of lucid dreams are all part of the darker side of lucid dreaming, meaning the more unknown and scarier type. People will feel like they dreamt for weeks and that they are stuck in a loop. Al Herpin. Al Herpin is known as the man who allegedly never slept. Al Herpin stated that he was in perfect health and didn't suffer from any discomfort despite never sleeping. This could not have been fatal insomnia, because as you know, fatal insomnia is always fatal. The man lived to the age of 94. The claims of Mr. Herpin might not be valid, as there's a disorder called sleep state misperception. This is a term for people that mistake their sleep as wakefulness. Herpin stated that he in fact did rest, whatever that may have meant, but never slept. We will probably never know if Al Herpin was speaking the truth. BC drug. This is a drug that was tested on Vietnam War soldiers, and they weren't aware of it until everyone started to experience symptoms. The soldiers started having scary hallucinations and extreme pains. The worst thing about this was that the soldiers still have these experiences in their dreams. BC was, besides other drugs, heavily tested on soldiers after the events of World War II. The effects of BC turn out to be very dangerous, as the drug never really leaves you after it is injected. There are many veterans today that suffer PTSD from BC testing. Dream spying. We've already covered the whole MIT dream technology, so I think it's safe to say that there is a lot of information about dream control that the government is hiding from the general public. Just the fact alone that MK Ultra happened and was never meant to be out in the public is scary to me. The thing is, we don't know where the government is looking, but it might be in our dreams. I mean, who knows? No one knows what the future holds and in what way we might be able to control and alter dreams. If you'd ask me, I would say that we're just on the speck of understanding the science behind dreaming. And there we are, that's the ending of the entire Dream and Sleep Iceberg Explained. This was a really fun video to make, and I'm sure I'm gonna make more iceberg videos. Maybe I'll make another type of video, who knows? Might be an iceberg video, I'm not sure yet. Anyways, if you have any experiences about lucid dreaming or dreams itself or anything related to dreaming, please share them in the comments, or be sure to join the Discord where we can talk about stuff like this, or the backrooms, cryptids, other paranormal / creepypasta / mystery stuff. We can all talk about it in there, it's gonna be fun, so be sure to join if you're interested in that. And I think that pretty much covers it. I hope y'all have a good holiday season, have fun. Might be another video out by then, I'm not sure. We'll see. And I will see you guys very soon.